Please.
Yes, no,
We're making a recording, so anybody who wants to speak needs to come up to the microphone and please say your name, your whole name. I know we all know you, but the recording does.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Cecil Sherrod, and we're getting a lot of emails with a lot of rumor, a lot of conjecture. I was wondering if we could have a database where we get emails or we get robocalls that are only the facts from your group. And I'm fearful that this puts an additional burden on the team here, but I would volunteer for you to tell me and I would go ahead and send it out on the database. I think my roller coaster heart can't take much more.
We will, of course, entertain that. Thank you. Another comment?
My name is Eddie Waller. I live at 115 Sunrise Lane. I think this is maybe my 16th year here. It seemed to me that we were being told, when we had a meeting in there 10 days ago, that we are no longer considered an enterprise corporation, which means that the city can commingle our funds with theirs. And I just want to find out that's true.
Thank you. Another comment?
I can't shut up, you know that.
You probably don't even need a microphone.
Hi, everybody. I just want to add.
Wait, for the recording.
Oh, for the recording, am I good?
Yeah.
Oh, Mary Curry,
Thank you.
55 Clubview. Thank you. I just wanted to let people know that I've been working very aggressively with Jay and others on the PAC towards finding this a legal counsel. I think maybe all of you, I hope all of you would agree that that's our next step. We all have a lot of ideas. We don't all agree. We had a very good PAL meeting yesterday, our new PAL, and which we all agreed to unify until we know more. Because I think you guys have been here a lot longer than me. You've heard or seen the splintering that can occur amongst the community. So I'm here to try to support us sticking together, get legal input, and then report out to everybody as to what the direction is at that time. And I'll be meeting with legal counsel, potential legal counsel tomorrow with Jay and Steve.
Hi, my name is Gary Appleman, and thank you, Mary, for finding us legal counsel. I'm not involved in that, but I want to explain some of the economics of what's going on. At $30 million, the buyers are spending $100,000 on each one of our houses. If they want just a modest return of 7%, that's $7,000 a year. That means basically they're raising everybody's rent. They have to $600 a month to start. And it's only at 7%. And the city, we had $5.9 million. That's what the city originally said. It's probably all gone because the city refuses to provide any information. I understand they just took another, God knows how many, hundreds of thousands of dollars for us. That's $17,000 for everybody here, each person. That's what $5 million is. The only way we are going to fight this is through legal counsel. And we can either pony up $1,000 a piece, or we'll be paying $700 a month to start more. So we pay a little bit now, let's get some counsel, let's get some really good advice, and let's see if we can stop this. By the way, I'm not giving legal advice, but when we had that meeting here last week, the city put up a slide that said the delegation agreement says that Prop 218 doesn't apply to the park. I looked at the original delegation agreement, it's silent on that. So perhaps we have a way to at least stop this, slow it down on the Prop 218. Please, people, we're either going to pay now or we're going to pay for the rest of our lives. So remember, give your money to Jay, let's get a fund going.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Any other? Yes.
Hi, I'm John Ewing at 7 Fallen Leaf, and I just wanted to,
Into the mic, please.
sorry, I retired from that. I'd just like to agree with the first speaker that if there be one person that can give us the information about what's going on to the emails, instead of, I've gotten like 4 or 5, so it becomes confusing if I want to rally behind your, positions. If we could just get one person or two to send those emails out, so we know exactly what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that ends public comment, and just commenting on that, I think that's a good idea. We'll initiate that. Enterprise fund is something that we are certainly pursuing, and we will pursue it with legal counsel. I think the main issue is affordable housing, and we're going to work to include that in any deal going forward. The defense fund, to gather funds from you. You'll be probably getting an email or a notice about that, and as Gary mentioned, it behooves us to have enough money to actually hire a good law firm to both slow it down and to make sure our interests are attended to. And with that, I'd like to move on to the timer. My 2 minutes are up, so I have to stop.
Yeah, your eggs are done, Jay. Jay, I have a comment, and maybe a show of hands of anybody in here who is really good at public information. Putting information together, you don't count. We already got you.
That's what I used to do every day.
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about here. The ones of us that are working on this are way too busy to do anything like that. I mean, this is moving very, very quickly, and we have new challenges daily to address. So if we can get together a small group of people who can accumulate our information, clear it through our group as to exactly what goes out, what's true, that we can let you know of, that doesn't compromise our position.
So if you want to volunteer, why don't you contact either John or Mary?
Yes.
To set up that. Okay, there are no reports today, and the reason why I put this on the agenda was I wanted to discuss the possible taking action of recently received invoices from the city, and to define that the accounting people at the Helsing Group received recently a request for a fair amount of money, $700,000 for accumulated insurance minus the accumulated interest income that we had received but wasn't attributed to us for the last 4 years, indicative of how difficult they have had in keeping track of our accounting. Now, part of the problem is that all of the bill paying should be agendized by or should be budgeted by the Helsing Group and preparing a budget which we then acknowledge and pass on to the city for their approval, and then it is returned to us for our comments, and then it is then the law of the land. In other words, the budgeted funds should be the amount of money that they are authorized to spend. So the importance of this issue is that if we have on the agenda, on the budget for the year, X amount of dollars for insurance, and then suddenly the city arrives with a larger amount, should we just go ahead and pay it, or should we demand further information and not only decline the payment, but find more information about what it is and what it actually is purported to insure? So I wanted to bring this to the attention of the board because one, it impacts on the appearance of Marin Valley Mobile Country Club to the public and to the grand jury, if suddenly they are in their accounting system in the city showing expenses that weren't budgeted and paid, and therefore putting us in the red. It is obviously something that makes us look bad. And right now, what we're fighting is a lot of public attention in other mobile home parks in Marin or in Novato, or just the general public in Novato, saying, why are we supporting Marin Valley Mobile Country Club out of the agenda of the city rather than their being self-funding? So these are important issues, and we're working on it, and I want to bring it to the attention of the board for discussion. Comment?
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I gave you each a 5-page list of all of our insurance policies for the last 5 years, including the coming year, and I think that's why it's 700 instead of 400 and something. They've added, they're charging us in advance for the current year. So these are all the policies. There's 11 or 12 of them depending on the year, and all the amounts are, the total is at the bottom. They did exist during all those years. They were not created recently, but they did fail to bill us for these full amounts. They can't go back and change our financial statements to show losses for those years because these amounts were not invoiced during those years. They can show them at the end of this year as a prior period adjustment and pay them out of the reserves. But they can't make our last 5 years financials look bad. Now, they may try that, but then we'll just have another argument about accounting principles. Okay?
Yes, my concern is that there were 2 items that were not on the budget that we had requested for years be put on there. One is repair of the roof of the clubhouse. The other is the repair, actually replacement of the antique switches that we have in the park that quite frankly, the people that changed out the switches the last time we had a problem, they were asked if they could come and test it, and their response was, I'm afraid if I turn it off, it won't go back on.
Hey, John,
So,
point of order, that's not on the agenda.
no, it isn't, but I think what I'm saying is that there's $600,000 that was not put there. Here's $7,000 that they're requesting of us right now. $700,000.
So, speaking about this issue itself, does any of the board have any comments? That was right.
What was the request and who made it for the itemization of this? Did Matt make it? Did you make it? And if so, what was the response and when?
I got these. Early in June, when Jay and Chris Blunk and I were working on the budget, Chris Blunk would provide us his revised budget every time he came up with a new one. There was much work to get the total expenses down so that we would meet the DSCR figure for the coming year. One of the items that I corrected him on was 2 insurance line items. Our regular insurance has always been around 100 or 92,000, and the Marval insurance has always been around 8,500. The city, the column that had the city revised budget showed 200,000 for the regular insurance and 65,000 for the Marval insurance. So I brought that up to Chris, and he corrected them based on prior years. A week later, he sent me an email saying, Steve, those big numbers were the correct numbers, and here is why. And he sent me a long email with all these pages showing all of our insurance policies. He said, it's been that way for the last 5 years. Insurance rates went way up. Remember all the fires back in 2015 and so forth. He said, but for some reason, the city staff has failed to bill MVMCC. So yes, I got this email on June 9th, I think. Why didn't I tell everyone about it? Well, as you may recall, I was pretty busy working on a lot of things, and I was just maxed out. But I've known about this, and that's why when I saw this budget line item, I made everyone copies and brought them up here.
Steve, just to follow up on that, as a CPA, there is in the budget for this year or last year, say $92,000 for insurance. Now, if they come for this year, not for past years, if they come for this year's and request $200,000, is it fair that we should ask for more information and more clarity on what the policy covers?
It's all right here, 23 and 24.
So we've already been provided that.
It's right there. It's got
So the fact that
policies.
the fact that they approved the budget for $100,000, and now they're showing us.
No, they approved the budget with $265,000.
So they adjusted the budget.
Yes. Now, they can't put the old insurance on this year's budget. Well, what would that do to our DSCR? Technically, it has to be at the end of the P&L, at the end of the year as a prior period adjustment. And although the loan documents don't address that issue, I am sure the bank would understand, one would think.
Carol, Joanne?
So our fiscal year starts
July.
July 1.
Next week.
So when you say prior year, are you talking about 22, 23? So that's going to make us look bad right now
No, they cannot adjust that.
We can't hear it.
until next year.
Get back
I'm
on.
sorry, he said no, they cannot adjust it.
They might. Maybe that's why, did we just get an invoice? Is that why Helsing called?
Yeah.
So they might be trying to squeeze that. That would be kind of nasty, because it'll, on the last day of the year, mess up the DSCR. And there's got to be a way we can wiggle around out of that with the accountants. But I can't answer that. It's going to be up to the auditors, what they do with it.
I would say it's not on our budget, we aren't obligated to.
I think that would be the argument, yeah. It was paid at the end of the year after shocking discovery that the city staff was incompetent.
Well, when you say the auditors, remember that they're 4 or 5 years behind in their auditing. So that's not going to be a black eye for us right now, conceivably, unless, it hits the papers or whatever.
And since the bookkeepers at the management company don't really tend to go by generally accepted accounting principles, we'll probably see it on there. That's a great big expense, and I will have to adjust it out when I prepare the DSCR calculations.
Any other comments from the board? John Hanson?
Yes, I have one more comment, and that is when the city manager was asked about the figures on the grand jury report, he says, I'm sticking by my figures. Those figures were budget figures and not accounted figures. So that's what we have right now with our insurance is budgeted figures. So should we go back and say that, hey, are you going to stand by your budget here, that your city council? I mean, there's so many holes in this thing that, I don't have enough corks to fill in, quite frankly.
Well, what they say, and what is true, is that they can amend that budget anytime they want. 2 weeks from now, at their next meeting, they can amend the budget.
Yeah, well,
Did they?
that's right.
They have not, they just passed it on June 27th, 2 days ago. At their next meeting, they can amend the budget.
But they haven't yet.
They haven't had a meeting since 2 days ago.
Any other comments from the board?
let's see, there was one more thing I was going to say, and that is that if we do decide to not pay this, I would say that it should be
Louder.
We can't, they can't hear you.
okay, if we do decide to not pay this, it should be a temporary move, because if we're going to get the services of a lawyer, they may say something differently, so.
We've got a public relations issue going on. Maggie, you
Okay.
can't stand up and talk. No, if you're gonna talk, escrow, put the money in the escrow fund.
This is being recorded, you need to sign in.
Okay, let's please bring it to order, please. Johnny finished?
Were you?
Okay, yes, public comment, please.
Hi, Gary Appleman again. I'm confused, Steve. So, we've been paying what I assume was $100,000 a year for our liability policy. And forever, years ago, Marval was $4,000 for their liability policy. Then it went to $8,000. So now it's $65,000? No.
Sorry, I forgot about that. I asked Chris about the Marval line item of 65,000, and I should have brought that printout also. He said, no, Steve, it's not Marval. Marval is still 8,500. There were so many policies, we just split them into two lines and dumped a bunch of them into the Marval line. And I said, well, that was not very smart, because you scared everybody. So, no, it's not 65,000.
So,
That's other non-Marval policies.
okay, because Lunt here said, at the meeting here last week, said Marval was 65,000 now.
He was just going down the line, down the budget line, and forgot that we had that discussion and that it was important to make the difference clear.
So what's the $65,000?
There's a lot of these other items. I mean, I can't tell.
So it's not insurance?
No, these are all insurance policies. There's about 12 of them.
Okay, so you had some documents here. Are those the invoices from the insurance company to the city for these?
This is MVMCC's portion
The portion that the city has determined is ours.
allocated to us.
Correct. So we have no idea, just to summarize this, we have no idea exactly how much the policy is. They're just saying 200,000 of that policy is yours, but we haven't seen a breakdown from the insurance company, correct?
Oh, it's probably worse than that, because they participate in a large pool of insurance with lots of cities. So I don't know how you would ever get specific details.
They're just allocating that amount.
We can't say that for sure. That's one of the things that we are attempting to illuminate, to find out exactly what they cover and what our responsibilities are.
Yeah, I was confused because I filed a public records request for the insurance invoices, and they've not come forth at all. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Maggie? In your best singing voice, please.
I don't want to be rude. Maggie Siegfried, 2 View Ridge Drive. Okay, years ago, when I lived in the houseboat community, and we were having issues with the county, and one thing, you know, the money, and there's public relations, politics. I spoke with a friend of mine who's a lawyer, a real estate lawyer, recently won a case against the county in Santa Benicia, and he said, if you don't have a right of first refusal, if there's, then the only weapon you really have is politics. And so, if we're looking bad, like we didn't pay our bills for 5 years, put the money, if we've got it, in an escrow fund until this gets settled, so we to show good faith. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Maggie. Any other public comment? Seeing none?
Behind Maggie.
Susan Meyer, 110 Panorama. From listening to Steve, it sounds like we probably owe some percentage of that amount, of the 700. So maybe it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Maybe we could pay half of the 700 that they say that we owe, ask for an extension for the rest until we get more clarity. Maybe it doesn't have to be withholding it all or paying it all, just an option.
No, we owe it all.
We owe it all.
Yes.
You're convinced? You're convinced we owe it all. Then what would be the purpose to withhold it if we owe it? If it,
I don't perceive any lying or fraudulent activity here. It's just incompetence.
right, so withholding money because of incompetence makes us look really bad. We don't have to sink to that level of looking bad at this moment in time.
Thank you. Mary?
I'm kind of confused. I don't know that it's sinking to a level, maybe it is. But the $700,000, Jay, you told me it was already paid yesterday. So it's a mute thing if it was paid. Am I wrong? I'm not trying to call you out, Jay. I'm just trying to clarify
Well, I mean-
where we are.
Yeah, I mean, to sequentially tell you what happened, I was told by Matt that that was going down. I called a special meeting and I asked Matt if he could ask them to delay the payment. I called the accountant that deals with this today at Helsing, and we were talking probably for about 20 minutes, getting the background on it, and then I got a call, a very important call from the original lawyer who negotiated the sale in 1997, putting me on to the original town manager at that time and what was the intention. So he was out in San Pablo Bay fishing, and it was interrupted several times by him having to crank in his line because the halibuts were biting. And by the time I got back to the Helsing group, they had closed for the night. I left messages to them to call me first thing in the morning, and I cannot verify whether they've been paid or not at this point.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And I would just point out that if the PAC, I don't know if you have the power to do it, but could make a motion or a suggestion to not pay it until we get legal advice. I don't think there's a point in making any moves or doing anything or making any strategies or making any promises or breaking any promises until we get legal advice.
Could you give us the wording again on that?
I move that PAC direct Matt to request the Helsing Group to not pay this bill if it unless it has already been paid, until further notice. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
John seconded.
Any discussion? Any public comment?
Wait,
What?
I get to go first.
Oh,
Hold on. I think they've waited 4 years, they can wait a few more days or weeks.
you think what?
They've waited 4 years for the money, they can wait a few more days or weeks.
That's what I think. Cecil?
This is such an important situation as far as public relations is concerned. Is it at all possible, do we have any money that we could afford to go ahead and hire a company to do this for us?
I'd like to give some background on that. over the years, every time something comes up where we say we need an attorney, the city tells us and Matt, no, you may not hire an outside attorney. We are your attorney. The city attorney is your attorney.
Yeah.
Now, that means that if there comes a situation such as the one we're in now, where it may become adversarial and it's, you know, the park against the city, who's our owner.
Thank you, Carol.
That,
Hang on.
that we will need to, we probably will need to hire someone else and therefore raise some money.
But what about public relations?
Okay, I have something to say on that too, let me answer that. We have been told repeatedly by at least one city council member and by members of the press and by people in this park who really know what they're talking about in terms of public relations, that it is very important that we speak as one. So we can't be going rogue and, you know, having your friend who's on the city council or who's in city staff come talk to you or whatever. We have to speak as one. We have to make it sound like Marin Valley is one. And we have a way to do that legally, and that is the PAC board. So we have to, and we have to be very careful about what we do. I can't say something because I'm on the PAC board. So it would be like I'm representing the PAC board or the perception of the fact that I'm representing the PAC board. So we need to step very carefully here in how we do all this. And I'm talking to everybody in the room, the board and every one of you. So in terms of getting the word out to residents, we have a way to do that. And it's called everybody, well, several ways. We have the 2 flyers, which you all read. We have the Echo, which you all read, although that's only once a month. We have the robocalls, which, as you've noticed, we've been using, and we have PAC board meetings. Thank you all for coming. And we have the PAC board email list, which we've been using. So that's the list that I use, generally me, to send agendas and minutes. So what I say to people constantly is, if you can't go to the meetings, read the minutes. So they may be coming late, but they get here, and the videos are always posted. The videos of our meetings are always posted like the next day or the day after that. So please, the answer is keep informed, and we have a way to inform you.
What I was asking is, as far as the public is concerned. What I was thinking of is as a public relations.
Please, we've got a motion on the floor, and we're discussing that.
I'm sorry. I was off the top.
So no public comment. Would you repeat your motion?
Yeah.
My motion is to, for the PAC board to direct Matt to request that the Helsing Group not pay this invoice that we're discussing, the insurance, until if it has not been paid, until further notice.
Perhaps the word should be delayed.
Until more,
Not pay it until further notice, and that means when we have more information.
well, why don't you say that, more information?
Well, further okay, whatever. Until we have more information. It's the same thing. And it was seconded already. We're not
What I was referring to.
Did you vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. Cecil Sherritt, 104.
Can't hear you.
Is it still on, John?
Is it on? Maybe it's not working now.
Just get closer.
Did you vote? Have you voted? It's off.
No, we're discussing.
Okay, discussing that. Okay. What I was referring to is a public relations firm that would get things into the newspaper, TV, etc. that would be.
We need to be talking about the motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm off track. I'm stepping back.
Bill Davis.
Thank you. Whether we pay it now or later, it's going to be paid, number one. Number two, we didn't screw it up. They did. And number three, we're taking all the egg in the face from civil grand jury and the press about how we're costing the city of Nevada so much money. So they're tipping us over towards selling the park. Our future is contained with 5 people sitting on that board. And they're going to get pressure from other people. Pay the bill, we'll sort it out later, and don't put up an argument about it saying, we take care of business up front, not like you guys.
And I just want to, my name is Eddie Waller, again, I live at 115 Grand Valley Drive.
No, Sunrise Drive.
Sunrise Lane, oh my God, I live on Sunrise Lane. I live at 115 Sunrise Lane. I do apologize, I had a TIA last year. Okay. They have, I again say, I heard it said that it was a done deal already 10 days ago, that they have commingled our $5.7 million reserves.
Eddie, we still have to stay on this agenda.
Well, I know, but why do we owe them, if they've got $5.7 million of our money, how would we owe them another $700,000?
Well, through the budget, we have to, they have to present bills for and invoices for the amount on the budget. How it's paid, where it's paid from, is another story altogether.
Okay.
This is just getting a bill and trying to figure out what it is and.
Whether we're gonna pay it or not where it's coming from.
Thanks, Eddie.
Appreciate that clarification.
I concur with Steve. They've waited 4 years, they can wait till we get legal counsel and direction. A couple more days isn't gonna matter, and public perception isn't gonna be changed by whether we pay this bill today or in a couple days. They've already smeared us.
And the matter most likely is not going to end in court with them having to hire legal counsel. I mean, we're just delaying it to find out why and to point out their mismanagement of our accounts to date. Do we have any other public comment?
Tom Weedy. So is there...
We can't hear it.
Good.
Tom Weedy. Is there a risk? Tom Weedy. Got it? Is there a risk in not paying this bill past the fiscal year cutoff?
Good question. A real question.
4 years they haven't had a date.
I would put out there again that they've been sitting on this, unbeknownst to them, maybe, I guess, I don't know, I'm not their accountant, but, you know, the invoices go back to 2020, so it has nothing to do with our fiscal year, it has to do with their physical ineptness.
Yeah, we're just another bucket of funds from their point of view, and they got the invoice and paid it timely through the years, so they've been paid. They just need to collect from us when we seem to have a history of that kind of relationship with them. So I don't think a few days is going to change any of that.
Okay, it just seemed that there was some conversation about what gets attributed to this next fiscal
Well,
budget versus the last.
the accounting for the city and for MVMCC is done on the accrual basis. So if we got the invoices a few days ago, they're booked. The actual year end doesn't matter.
Armand, you can have a public comment?
My understanding was that they were very specific, that this had to be paid by Friday. They were very clear about that. That's what made it seem so urgent. Bonnie, it's not just a bill that we have to pay. This could be connected with a lot of other things. Being able to show books that are balanced. We don't know, but I mean, there's a reason why they want it this Friday.
So, yeah, I hadn't heard that before either, but it could be that they want to get it on their books before the end of their fiscal year, which is June 30.
That could well be, but nevertheless,
Reserves, and now it's gonna go over there.
Well, but
It's not
they,
gonna change anything.
we have a budget to adhere to and to address. You know, we put a lot of effort into making our budget, and if they didn't have the information to give us to correct that budget way back when, you know, it's still a few days is at least, you know. Let's wait a few days, not do it right away. Wait till we get
Thanks, John.
information from the employees.
Mary.
I guess we're still public commenting on the insurance, so, all right, I'll weave it in. I just want to reiterate that we will know, I think, tomorrow if we have legal counsel. And so if we know tomorrow that we have legal counsel, then the bill can or cannot be paid based on legal counsel. I don't know why, it's my gut telling me we need legal counsel for everything. And with regards to possible PR campaigns, it's too soon, I'm sorry.
Okay, can I call for a vote?
wait, there's a hand, Mark.
Yeah, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Mark Lewis, 20 Scenic Drive. I found out about all this while I was recovering from surgery, and I'm starting radiation next month, so I don't have a whole lot of energy to put into this the way I did when we were going through all of this other thing 15 years ago. But I do have the energy to write a check. So, could you please, either now or call me and let me know who to write it to? And that's all I can say. You are getting an attorney and a possible PR firm. I'm willing to do that, and I have the energy for that, so could you just let me know?
Not for 30 million.
Well, you'll be hearing more about that later. So, calling for a vote. All in favor of the message? Thank you.
But you have to say for the record, please, for the record, 5-0.
Oh, for the record, all board members voted in favor of the motion. So, Counselor, can I ask you just to type it up and give it back? Well, the motion that we're going to ask Matt to do that.
The recording secretary is going to be producing minutes for this, from this meeting. But I will tell Matt tomorrow.
That might be not right away, but yes, Matt needs to know tomorrow morning.
Okay, so there's no old business, no new business. I hate to be rushing, but my wife is on a plane arriving in about an hour and 10 minutes, and I want to go pick her up. So that's why I'm a little pushing to end the meeting. If you'd like to stop and still chat after I leave, you're entirely welcome.
Who brought
And well, we're not finished yet. The next regular PAC board meeting is going to be Monday, July 3rd at 6 p.m. on Zoom.
July 3rd?
July 3rd.
On Zoom only or here?
It'll be on Zoom.
Zoom only, we have not yet figured out how to do hybrid meetings, sorry.
Why don't you do them in person?
I'd like to call for adjournment, and you can continue these discussions after. Thank you.
PM?
Thank you. I thought this was very valuable. It's good for us to be able to have this kind of exchange, and that's our information that we do have. But we are working on it.